One of my mentors in my first team used to say, Jira hi jeevan hai.
So what are those things a software developer should know, or the vice versa, or a backend developer should know, so that this collaboration becomes better?
So for those backend developers who think, oh, they are doing very complex stuff, that like you might be over complicating things. A lot of people just, add a lot of fancy terms, but the more number of components that you add, you're making your system slower, you're making things more complicated. What is the right thing for me to do? Should I be doing this? I mean, just start doing it for 2 weeks or a month. I mean, that is good enough for you to get understanding.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another interesting podcast. So we have a special guest, Kirti Purswani, and she is right now a co-founder of a tech company. Before that, she has worked with multiple companies like Intuit, Atlassian, multiple years into the software industry, have worked on front and back end, full stack, and a lot of responsibility. So she's a very good YouTuber. She has more than, I think, 100K subscriber on her channel. She create content on data structures, system design, much more. Like, I think Kirti will do the justice on her quick introduction. Why don't you go ahead, Kirti?
Thank you so much, Chirag, for having me, and that's a wonderful introduction. I think you covered almost everything. I am really, really excited to talk about everything and anything over here. Feel free to ask me about everything, like no filter out here, right? So, yep.
Great. So, guys, today we are going to discuss one of the very hot topic which people discuss day and out in their corporate, but no one wanted to express probably, right? It's a word between the front end and back end. Is this responsibility of a front end developer? This is the responsibility of a back end developer. I don't take care of, because this is my designation of a front end and back end developer. I will do that. So, what about your thought, Kirti? Is this discussion going to be hot today?
Of course, it is going to be, right? Front end versus back end and dev versus PM are like the biggest fights that keep happening in the office. It's the masala of the corporate world in software engineering. But yes.
Awesome. With that, we will start with one of the interesting thing. Like, how would you describe the relationship between the front end and the back end development?
Okay, so honestly, I think both front-end and back-end developers are supposed to think like one, like they are delivering the same product. They're supposed to feel like one team, right? That is like the basic, the bottom line. If you don't think like that, you are not a good developer. Neither a front-end good developer nor a good back-end developer, right? You're supposed to think like a team. You're supposed to have understanding of how the entire system works. I think that is without a doubt. You're supposed to think that you are in this together. It is like a relationship, working on it together instead of considering like a competition. So yes.
So instead of thinking this was a Jira ticket of the front end and this was a Jira ticket of the back end,
Yes.
right? So now
Yep.
the project owner will take care of how to merge it, because our job was to individually build it. Someone will come and integrate, right? Great.
Oh my God. Like, I'll tell you something interesting. So, like one of my mentors in my first team used to say, Jira hi jeevan hai, because people used to love assigning Jira so much कि assign कर दो, Jira कर दो. मतलब people just want to avoid the pressure and the competition somehow, and they just want to take credit for all the work. That is the truth of the corporate world. If you are a good developer, then you would not be doing this, right? So you should not be worrying about Jira so much.
Yeah. So in short, basically, you meant by, before you are a front end developer or a back end developer, you are a software developer. So without
Exactly.
any discrimination, you should think from a software perspective for your product and then build things on top of it.
Yes.
Awesome, lovely.
Yep.
But still, like, the roles and responsibility are something which are defined in a way where you take care of your own work. So
Of
if
course.
you have to tell some of the things that as a front end developer should know, basically, when they are collaborating with a backend developer in order to build some softwares, right, or some features. So what are those things a software developer should know, or the vice versa, or a backend developer should know, so that this collaboration becomes better?
Right. I think a basic understanding of basic topics is a must for both. For example, networking, right? How the calls are happening. What is the, suppose you're using HTTP, why, which version of HTTP, what are you sending in headers, what are you sending in the body, why is this response coming, why is this status code. Basics of networking, at least you should understand. How does your data look like, how is it getting stored, right? Basics key, why is data being sent like this, if the data is coming like this, why is it like this, why things are happening synchronously in a particular request while asynchronously in another request, what is the implication of it, how your end-to-end system is working, right? I mean, it would be just so sad, right, that you are a front-end developer, but you have no idea how data is working over there. I mean, as a software developer, you should know that how systems like YouTube, Netflix, WhatsApp, any other system out there is working. If you do not know even a part of it, then you're supposed to know it, right? You're supposed to have the understanding in simple terms.
Yeah, I think you summarized it very well, and I can relate it from my multiple years of experience in working multiple product, where there are a lot of things, especially knowing the HTTP part, knowing the communication, how this communication is done, HTTP, maybe header, status, and whatnot. There are certain things, as you mentioned, the queue. You may not be knowing, as you mentioned, there are some
Okay.
queue which is done, which is async job, where you are posting some data which you want to be stored, but this data is not going to be updated then and there. Probably it will go through some queue, it will take some time and updated. There are a lot of friction that comes when says that I have made this request, my data is said, you said it is 200. Now in the next get request, why are you not sending me the updated data? Because there is an understanding gap. It's not because it's a issue at a backend level or a expectation at a front end level is wrong, right? Both parties are correct at their end. It's just that the understanding of how system works in general end to end is something which is a big gap basically. Probably that is very well mentioned in that case. I think few more things which I can relate it well, like popular questions like pagination and infinite scroll kind of thing, right? Where to do this pagination? Shall I do it on the UI? Shall I do on the backend? Sometimes you have to do some massaging of the data where consider example, you have a huge list where account name and account information has to be looked for along with that. But if you don't understand how this data is stored in the backend, the problem is you will be expecting in the paginated call you give me all the data. So probably a front-end developer is not thinking about, okay boss, I have to do this join query and something which may take a longer time in the infinite scroll kind of behavior. Why don't, because it has lot of repeated account information. I had 10-20 accounts which is mostly repeated in all of these requests. You use it. I think very well said, Kirti, that yeah, please.
So, yes. So, I mean, your role might be as a front end or a back end developer, but I think you should think like a full stack developer. Let me explain. So, when you said ki, it is not about expectation ki this is supposed to work like this, and I've seen a lot of times, like I am now defending the front end developers out here. Like back end developers, they'll go like ki, this is expected behavior, but both of them should be understanding. Like backend developer, instead of just saying ki it is the expected behavior, is supposed to explain, and the front end developer is supposed to be interested to understand that why is this the expected behavior, right? I mean, if you're talking about pagination, why is it expected to be done on front end or on back end? And that is why we have people like architects and team leads who make the final calls. And if you have no understanding of like even one API, you're supposed to get that. You're supposed to ask that why is it working like this, especially when you start as freshers. If you don't ask these questions, then you're going to have trouble leading and making those decisions in system design and all of that later. As freshers, you're supposed to start asking, like from the starting itself, when you're developing something, you're supposed to have the clear understanding, why did it work like this? Why did I get the status code? Why did this happen on front end or back end? And if you do not have understanding of that, then you need to think about this, buddy. So,
100%. I'm 100% aligned to that, what you said. Maybe if you have to mention few of the things which a backend developer should know so that this overall friction, overall quality of the product, overall the duration in which we ship things can smoothen and become better. Anything that comes to your mind?
I mean, a lot of backend developers have this thinking that all front-end developers do is UI, UX and button clicking here and there. I mean, they have no idea about the things that are happening really, right, in the front-end development. Yeah. So I'm sure you can explain that a bit more. But like I know that a lot of back-end developers think, I have done literally all the work for you. All you have to do is literally just do the button click, give me the data and show the data. You have to do nothing. You're just, beautifying the entire thing. So yeah. What do you have to say to that? Like if backend developers come and say this to you?
Maybe many things. First thing I will say, have a good collaboration, especially when we try to solve problems like latency on the server. why don't we come together and think about distributed computing probably, right? Why everything has to be done on the single server? I'm not talking about, okay, you can scale horizontal and vertical, that's a separate story. Can you keep this data on the UI, cache it so that for the subsequent request you don't come to the server altogether, right? Probably we will save a lot of these requests which is coming from the client to the server, and the problem which you are trying to solve at the server in terms of the latency is going to be solved far better for an end user experience on the client, right? So maybe those kind of discussion has to be initiated, right? So lot of information related to, like, especially if I have to mention, GraphQL plays a very important role, right? If people are not leveraging like GraphQL in today's era for places where it is required, then probably we are not doing the justice again, right? So we are not thinking about end user customer experiences. Maybe unnecessary we are trying to solve some problem on the server which is not needed to be solved. Like I remember one of the very good discussion with one of the startup co-founder who started the edtech company. So start because a curiosity of, okay, I'm a tech guy, I know how to do all the system design stuff, scale the system to like anything, having a lot of microservices and blah, and then realized, dude, was it really necessary? Because I have to
Yeah,
come up across lot of lot of like infra cost in order to solve that. So I think those kind of thought process, mutual discussion, understanding, end to end is very important. What do you say?
Yep. Like when I teach the high-level system design, I keep making people understand that high-level system design, people just start making boxes and think, there are going to be a lot of servers required for sure. That is not always the case. There are enough and more tech blogs out there, enough and more teams from Uber, Amazon Prime, Spotify. There are so many teams who first made too many microservices and then realized, oh, this is not the correct way, and then moved to like a single server. So for those backend developers who think, oh, they are doing very complex stuff, that like you might be over complicating things. But yeah, there in most of the cases there is no absolute right and wrong, correct? Like most of the cases, as the expectation, as the number of users are increasing, as even for example, very basic thing, as time passes by, the users, the way they interact, like for example, initially they used to like long form content, now they like short form content. Now their span of attention is very, very less, so the way you're going to deal with it on the front end is going to be different, and you will have to correspondingly handle those things in the back end, right? So things are going to evolve, the system decisions are going to change with time, so you're supposed to understand that.
Which is 100% true. As you mentioned microservices, the other thing came to my mind was micro frontend, which is again a very cool stuff on the front end side. People blindly say, I want to make a micro frontend without understanding actually do you really need it. As you said, microservices, isn't that you have a user service where you have 100 users, but you wanted to have a microservice for that, right? It's as simple as. So awesome. That brings to another interesting thing. What about security? Like if security has to be considered, so anything that comes to your mind, like should we do some security stuff on the client, on the server, as a front end developer or back end developer? Anything that you can think of?
Okay, I'm not sure if everyone's going to agree to this, but I personally, when I code on any site, okay, my thought process is, think about it, everyone else who's writing the code is going to write the worst code possible. So you're supposed to handle the worst situations on both front end and back end, right? When you're writing the back end code, imagine that the front end developer who's sitting there is stupid, is an idiot. Even though might have like an awesome front end developer right now, might completely change, someone else might be sending you requests, you might want to scale it up, and you have to handle all kinds of scenarios. Similarly, in the front end, you have to handle all the scenarios. Don't assume, oh, these are the four status codes that are given to me, I'm going to write only for these. No, you're supposed to handle all the possible scenarios gracefully. So according to me, you should think of the worst case scenarios in all the possible situations and then write code accordingly. Like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely that makes lot more sense, especially when you said think about the other person as a stupid or don't trust the other person. Like
Exactly.
in software industry, if you wanted to be secure, in general in life also, like people have a lot of interesting stuff about the security. Like no one is secure, even the ancestors are not secure with your grandson and whatnot. Forget about the software industry. So what I meant by in this one thing which comes to very interesting, which I have seen again in past, where sometimes there is a glitch in the payload or the way we take the data from the users, right? Sometimes we say, why don't you as a front-end developer sanitize that data or put a validation in order to get the right set of data? And the other side, the debate is, if let it be, like if I am not doing it's okay, why you are not doing the validation at your end? Those kind of debate
Exactly.
probably you might have heard a lot, right? So which make bridge this gap very clearly, like you should not trust on the other party thinking that other team or the other party will be doing that kind of stuff. You have to ensure that you are doing the right justice, let it be the other part, right?
Correct, correct. Sometimes I like to think of it like this also, that suppose I'm working on backend and I always think of it like this, that what if, I want to sell my backend to another company tomorrow
Yeah.
and they are working only on the front end, right? So I might be having like a completely different front end perspective hitting me, but my API should be such that my documentation should be such that my handling of everything of all the possible scenarios, my validations should be such that tomorrow if I have a completely new front end, like a completely new company who is hitting me, even they should be able to use my backend.
100%. I think if that is way we start thinking about like making your piece solid so that it can stitch with any other thing, I think that's the best
Correct.
thing we can do in
Yes.
software industry, right?
It's
So
like the independent thing, and you are
yeah,
able to host it independently, and others can use it as a service.
leverage it. Actually,
Yep.
that brings to a very interesting thing. So I remember recently we actually added a transformation layer altogether where you keep on changing your backend. We don't care. You have SQL, MySQL, and whatnot in the system. Our system is going to be independently work, irrespective of whatever you bring in future. So that is how I think individually both the team, if you start thinking in that fashion, then individual pieces will be more scalable. I think that's what you meant.
Correct.
That when
Yes.
it comes to the scalability, I think performance is obviously one thing that we should talk about. So like,
Yep.
how does the backend performance or the some of the construct on the backend or the front end, wherever it lies? So what do you think in general we should take care of, like in terms of performance, to make our system more, you can say, with less latency and more performant?
See, again, it is for a user. User has no idea there is a separate
Yeah.
front end team, back end team, right? User just knows, okay, I sent a request, like I want to click on this and I want to see the response in this much time. So we are supposed to make it efficient at every single layer, not just on the front end. Yeah, as you were talking about caching some things on the front end, I think that should definitely be there. Even on the microservices end, if you can cache something, even on the databases and if you can cache something, try to make it as better as possible, try to make it as better performance as possible, because there are so many layers. As you keep, I mean, a lot of people just add a lot of fancy terms, but the more number of components that you add, you're making your system slower, you're making things more complicated. Now you're adding another layer of networking calls, so it is obviously going to affect the performance. So you obviously have to think about how you're going to deal with it.
I can definitely relate your statement. Sorry if anyone is hearing from a government like office, where for a small request when you go to the government office they send you to 10 counter, and it's like, dude, you have to just do a
Yes.
stamp. Why can't you do this stamping? You're sending me to 10 people, right?
Yep.
So that is kind of an expectation even our users basically have. If you have to mention few of the performance techniques that we generally do on the backend side in order to ensure that systems are performant, anything that comes to your top of mind?
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. Basic things like, caching properly, using the, correct way of sharding, and making decisions like which database to use. And like you should think about key, you need read performance better or write performance better, and then think accordingly why a particular database was chosen. These things, I think even front-end developers should have an understanding that why are we using this database for this kind of data and why another database for a particular kind of data. And I think you should have an understanding of not just scaling of the databases, but also the performance, that oh, this data really needs better read performance, write performance, capacity estimations, why this is the capacity we're going to be dealing with, so what to expect, how many network calls to expect, all of those things, right? Rate limiting, like there's so much I think I can go on about this. I don't think there's any part of the system that can be taken lightly.
So
Anything can make it
yeah,
slow.
you mentioned one again interesting point, which is understanding what is the need of the user or how your system is going to behave as an in terms of expectation, which is very important. So if you
Yeah.
understand that, I think most of the problems automatically start solving. It's just that next thing is you have to ask the right question, like choosing the
Correct.
database, how to keep the data, what to cache, what not to cache. Saying that
Yep, yep.
just cache it, maybe not needed because that you don't have that much users, or that use case that you're talking about cache is not like fetched or read like read latency is not that much, right? So maybe as you
Correct.
said, understanding those things are very important. Now I think most of the people are going to wait or maybe hate the discussion which we are going to start next. Like
Okay.
from our experiences, we have seen like with the different companies working, right? And obviously a lot of people, maybe you may get a lot of these queries. Shall I choose my career as a front end developer or a back end developer? Shall I become a full stack developer, right? Which one gives more earning in terms of which has more CTC, which have more growth in future, right? You might have got
Right.
all of these questions a lot in your career. So if you
Correct.
have to give any advice or suggestion around those lines, what will be your thought?
I mean, according to me, I think a lot of people end up spending a lot of time overthinking about it, front end or back end. I think you can just pick up a project and experience both front end and back end and have an idea that, okay, how things are happening. I feel every developer should be working on the other part at least once in their career. Every front end developer should have worked at least on some backend at some point, and every backend developer should have worked on some front end at some point. Maybe not for very long time. I'm not saying ki do a year long project and work become a pro in React or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but have a basic understanding, work on it once, and then decide that okay, what you like more. You will also start understanding from the other's perspective better, and also you'll be more valuable in your company also, because if it is absolutely needed, you are a full stack developer and you can contribute over there and you have a better understanding. So there are all pros, and your career is so long. It is not like 2 years 3 years, right? If you're a good software developer, you're supposed to be at least 2 decades working, right? So or at least a decade if you really want to retire very early. So in a decade, if you can't find a few months to work on the other stack, I mean, that is really, I think, very adamant and very I don't know, wrong of you. I think you should try to experience different things and make a decision for yourself.
I love the way you started saying that, like you should go and experience both the things at least once in your
Yep.
career, because having that myth and hearing others saying that this is good and that is bad, it's I think couple of months. It's a story of couple of months where you can go and at
Correct.
least go and contribute to the other side of things. Once you have a taste, then take a decision, right? Don't become a grandpa saying that I don't eat tinde, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, people will watch a lot of podcasts about this. What is the right thing for me to do? Should I be doing this? I mean, just start doing it for 2 weeks or a month. I mean, that is good enough for you to get understanding.
Yeah, exactly. The very, very well said. Like, so especially people, I think one thing which I want to add to what you said, especially people who are very early in their career, right? So less than 5 year
Correct.
experience. Dude, you have not started your career yet. There is so many years that you have to see in the industry basically. So if you are too judgmental in the starting where you are not okay to go out of your comfort zone and taste the other side of things, then probably it's a question mark, because the next question is, which we are going to discuss, what about this AI coming into the picture, right? People do not talk about
Exactly.
this picture, right? We are having a fight of front end and back end. We are having a fight of you should do that, or this person should do that, and now maybe AI is coming. Said, hold on, I will do that for you, both parties, huh?
Good meme material.
So, by the way,
Also,
what's your thought? Yeah, please go ahead, Kirti.
one more thing. So, as a good software developer, you should always be, ready to experiment with different tech stack. Like for example, in backend, I feel like in front end, Flutter was not there a few years ago,
Yeah,
right? Or Next.js was not very famous a
yeah,
few years ago, right? So, I mean, you really understand that okay, things are changing, and like for example, AWS was not there like a decade ago now. Like no one used to use it so much, right? So you really have to evolve as a software developer on both the fronts. So if you anyway have to learn new tech stack, why not have a complete understanding of how things are working and have the confidence that, yeah, given any challenge to me, I can work on this. Let it be front end, let it be back end, but I have a preference. I enjoy working on this more, that's fine. But can you work on anything? That should always be a yes, according to me.
I again like the way like have understanding of both and have expertise in at least one. So I think that's
Yes.
what in short you meant by.
Yes,
Great.
exactly.
Any final advice that you wanted to give considering AI is coming into the picture? So people should bother about that. People should consider like this fight front and back end. How you perceive probably maybe AI.
I feel don't overthink stuff, and whatever tech is coming is coming to help you better. I know that the intense competition and recession can be overwhelming, but we are still struggling to find good skilled people. There are a lot of companies who still don't find skilled people because there's a dearth of that, right? So there's a huge gap between what you are offering and what companies are looking for, and that is why, you know, uh, companies are not able to find good enough people. So please work on your skills, stop overthinking, and just get started with working. And eventually, you will realize that you do become so confident that even if this doesn't work out, I will figure out something else. And that is what good software developers do.
I like the last motivation statement. Irrespective of this works or not, I know how to figure out my own way. That's the spirit that
Exactly.
person should have. Awesome. I think this was a really interesting discussion, Kirti, that we had. And I really like the T-shirt which says that "Cash me." I think this is from your own brand, which is Literate Store. If I'm that, oh, cash me
Yes.
if you can. Oh, awesome, awesome.
Yep.
That looks
I,
lovely.
yes, so it is catch me if you can, catch me if you can. So yes, I actually designed it myself.
Oh, awesome. You see, software engineer can do anything. We are fighting about the front end, back end. People are building front end on the t-shirt. You see the talent. That's awesome, Kirti. Thanks a lot for coming. And guys, whoever is watching, please go and check out her YouTube channel and definitely what she is doing on her Literate store. There are a lot of cool t-shirt which I can definitely see. She keep on experimenting and building. Maybe you will learn some system design from the t-shirts he generates.
I hope you will join the cool community and also check out EduCourses and check out Chirag's channel better. Like there are a lot of videos. He is doing great stuff. Do subscribe, and he is coming up with awesome stuff with Akshay Saini. So yes, do check everything out, and I hope you like the video. Thank you so much for having me, Chirag.
Awesome.